What's going on, everybody? Welcome into 76ers Now. Jake Chipper here with you. And on today's show, we got some positive Philadelphia 76ers injury updates on some big-time players. The Sixers signing of Bontemps does become official here today. And the Sixers making a pretty smart hire in their front office. We'll dive into all that here on today's show. But guys, Wednesday, October 15th, we are 1 week away from the start of the NBA season for the 76ers. They open with the Boston Celtics on Wednesday, October 22nd. Get ready for the start of this regular season by hitting that sub button and turn on your notifications as well. So anytime we post a video, you are notified. Trying to hit 24,000 subs by the time we do get to the start of the regular season. You want to stay informed on everything you know about the 76ers, go ahead, hit that sub button. So let's start on the injury front here with Jared McCain. McCain gave an update after today's practice on his recovery and a potential timeline after he had that surgery on the UCL in his thumb back a few weeks ago before the start of training camp, and sounds like he's progressing pretty well and on schedule. McCain said, "Universe is throwing some haymakers at me, man, with this injury and, of course, the meniscus last year, but it's all a part of the process. I just got to continue to trust that it happens for a reason. It sucks because I feel like I was right there, so close to being back from that knee injury, and then just another setback. But I'm always going to stay grounded, stay with gratitude. But yeah, just been doing simple stuff. I can't really do too much with the brace on, which we'll show in a second, but moving at the same timeline as they said, and we'll see where that goes." Now, this is a picture of McCain from practice today talking to the media, and you can see on his hand, he does have on that right hand, that shooting hand, that brace wrapped around his thumb. Now, McCain did say he'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks. That is consistent with the original timeline back when he first got the surgery. At that point, they can put a playing brace on. The one he has on, he can't play with, but they can put a, I guess, smaller, less invasive one on his hand. He can play with that and actually return to the court for Philadelphia. So it does seem like things are progressing well for McCain, and we can expect him, obviously not at the start of the regular season, but hopefully he'll only miss about a week or so once we do get into the swing of things. And we never really knew how this injury happened. We just knew it happened in practice at some point. But McCain actually dived into what happened and how he did suffer the injury. It was kind of just a freak accident. As he said, it was a freak, like, stupid little thing. Just somebody was rolling to the basket. I was trying to tag him. I put my hand on him, and I heard it. I heard it pop, and I went to the sideline. I tried to hold the basketball and try to move, try to shoot, and move this way and that, and I was like, yeah, I'm cooked. So unfortunately, he did know right away, and we did kind of hear that it was from practice, and that because the Sixers were having these intense practices, that they were really, not calling fouls and going extra hard, but just a freak thing at the end of the day. Sticking his hand out can happen on every play. Now, McCain did say he is still conditioning, of course, because he still needed to get back into game shape after recovering from the meniscus injury. Also been doing a lot of work with that left hand, layups and floaters and such, so still getting some work in, and, maybe a positive. He can take another couple of weeks to recover from that knee injury, get his wind under him some more, because he can do full conditioning stuff, just a hand. He can't really shoot or dribble right now, and who knows, maybe that left hand will be even more deadly when he does eventually return. Now let's get to Embiid and Paul George. And we had some good stuff on Embiid yesterday, and this is more positive news that we're hearing from Tony Jones at The Athletic. Of course, covers the 76ers for them. Embiid and Paul George both participated in the majority of practice here today for the Sixers. Of note as well here, Paul George also did some live 3-on-3 work. That is a big step forward for him. We'll touch on that in just a moment. But starting off with Paul George, if you remember on yesterday's show, if you did not check that one out, I encourage you to go do so. But Nick Nurse said after practice that there's a chance Embiid could play in this Friday's preseason game against the Timberwolves. Still some things and some thresholds he needs to pass in order to get fully cleared. But the fact that he could play in the preseason game Friday means there's a pretty good chance he's ready for the season opener. So at this point, where I'm at with Joel Embiid, I think he should be ready to go for that season opener, with him really ramping up in practice over the last couple of weeks, played in the blue and white scrimmage on Sunday in front of fans, and now with what he's been doing in practice, taking certain off days, making sure he's good to go, I expect Embiid 100% to be ready for next Wednesday's opener against the Celtics. And I'm not the only one who feels that way. Brian Windhorst said that on ESPN, and Tim Bontemps as well relayed this message on ESPN. He was at the Sixers preseason game last Friday against the Magic and has been talking with the Sixers and said the feedback I got in Embiid was pretty positive. I think if you're a Sixers fan, you have to feel pretty decent about the fact that Embiid's been participating way more in camp than he did last year. It certainly seems like he is on track to play next week in the opener in Boston. So really good news all around there. Maybe things are looking up for the Sixers on the injury front. So great to see that Embiid is progressing well, not having any setbacks. Nothing's guaranteed. Not 100% he'll be playing in that opener, but I would say things are at least trending in that direction as we sit here today. And for Paul George, I mentioned this briefly earlier, but it's a great sign that he is progressing to playing live 3-on-3. And Nick Nurse said it was full court 3-on-3. So they were running up and down the floor, playing hard, and he was also playing some one-on-ones as well and looked pretty good in that regard. So great to see, because prior to today, he'd only been doing individual drills, some light one-on-ones, nothing really with the team. Now, he hasn't done full 5-on-5s yet, hasn't been cleared to participate in all of that. But the fact that he's at least doing the 3-on-3s means he is progressing well. And Nurse added that when he is in these 3-on-3s, right, you got to look, because, of course, the knee injury, how is he moving? Is he hesitant? Nurse said he's moving well. He didn't seem tentative at all in his movements, didn't seem hesitant attacking the basket, anything like that. Last year, Paul George was not able to get to the rim at all. Obviously started off the year with some injuries. We'll hope and we'll see that he can bounce back from that and be a little more confident attacking the basket. But I would be a little bit surprised if he does play on opening night. Again, it's only a week away and he has yet to practice full 5-on-5 coming off that surgery that he had back a couple months ago. I don't think we'll have to wait too long, similar to with McCain, but I would be a little bit shocked if Paul George is out there for opening night. Regardless, I think the Sixers' injury luck might be turning around a little bit. I don't want to jinx anything, all right? And we know with Paul George and Embiid especially, things can change at any moment, but I think at least things are looking up a little bit for the Sixers. So today's poll question, I'll ask you, is the Sixers' injury luck maybe turning around a little bit here? Give me a yes, give me a no. Let me know down in the comment section. So we talked about the positive 76ers injury updates. Still to come, this MarJon Beauchamp signing has become official. They had to release somebody. Who was it? We will get to that here in a moment. Plus the Sixers making that smart hire in their front office. So stick around. Don't want to miss that. But first, big shout out to today's presenting sponsor. That is Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this basketball season on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. I love playing Prize Picks because it is so simple to play. All you do is pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get your picks right, you can cash in big time. And Prize Picks always has so many amazing features that make the app so much fun to play. One of their new features, stacks, where you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. So if you wanted to pick the more on Jalen Hurts' pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns, you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. Basketball season starts in under a week. Sixers don't play till Wednesday, but the season does start on Tuesday with some big time games, including a max discount here from Prize Picks on Steph Curry. All he has to do is score more than a half point, and you can check that box off. I'm also going with Luka Doncic more than 8 assists. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I'm going less on the MVP, 31.5 points, and Alfred Sengun due for a big season more than 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists. It is that simple to play. We have a great deal for all the Sixers fans out there. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. So it is official. We talked about the potential signing of MarJon Beauchamp on Monday's show. It was reported that they were expected to sign him, but it had not become official because of some rules, and the Blazers could potentially bring him back. They had him on a training camp deal, but they had waived him. He is now officially signed with the 76ers, as Philadelphia did release a press release today detailing the signing. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but what is of note here is down near the bottom in that last line. You can see in a related move, Philadelphia has requested waivers on Emoni Bates, meaning they have cut ties with Emoni Bates after signing him not too long ago. And we'll talk about Bates in just a moment. But I want to talk first about the player the Sixers are actually bringing in here in Bontemps. If you did not see that video on Monday, a guy that, look, a former first-round pick not too long ago by the Milwaukee Bucks, 24th overall in 2022 after 1 year with the G League Ignite. Decent size, 6'6", 199, still only 25 years old, and he spent the first few years of his career with the Bucks and then was really never able to develop. He had some of the tools and the athletic profile, but look, a couple seasons with Milwaukee, it just did not work out. He never found his way in the rotation. He was traded to the Clippers, played 3 games before they cut ties with him, played a few games for the Knicks last season as well, but wasn't able to stick around on any of those teams. Went to the Blazers on a training camp deal, as I mentioned. They decided to waive him. And the problem with Bontemps, he's kind of a score-first player. That's really what he was with the G League Ignite, but not that kind of player in the NBA. And he was never able to adapt to being a role player. Just a guy who always wants his, can't play with the team. But, an interesting signing, a young player, probably be with the Delaware Bluecoats. So we'll see if he can make some noise down in the G League. As for Emoni Bates, a lot of people were excited when the Sixers did make this signing a couple of weeks ago. Another one of these former top high school recruits, number 3 in the 2021 ESPN 300, that some fans thought, maybe he can be a reclamation project for Daryl Morey. We have seen this happen before. Saw it very recently with Justin Edwards, of course, going undrafted, being a top 3 recruit. But really for Bates, even going back to college, didn't have a lot of success in Memphis, ended up having to go to Eastern Michigan. Cavs did take a chance on him in the second round in 2023, but again, just never really able to see the floor. Did play decent in the G League over the past couple of seasons, but didn't play at all for the Sixers in the preseason. Played 1 game, played about 8 minutes, went 0 of 2 from the field, had a turnover, and was like a minus 10 or something. He really wasn't very good and wasn't seeing the floor. Not a good sign for him. So best of luck to Bates. Hope he can continue his career elsewhere, but it will not be in Philadelphia. Was this a smart move? I know a lot of people were big fans of the potential Emoni Bates signing. So which one would you rather have? Are you cool with the signing of MarJon Beauchamp type MB? If you would have rather the Sixers just kept Emoni Bates type EB, regardless, I don't think either of these players would have made such a big impact on the actual season this year for Philly, but 2 young guys that do have some potential upside. We'll end today's show with this news from Michael Scotto that did come in yesterday. Sixers hired Scott Layden as a scout. Sources told Hoops Hype Layden was previously a scout for the Kings, has been the general manager of the Timberwolves and Knicks, also has been a Spurs assistant GM and a longtime Jazz executive. When we look at his career, he has been around the NBA way longer than I've even been alive, all right? He's probably forgotten more about basketball than I will ever hope to know. He has been around the league. So I think bringing somebody in with this much experience, it's just a smart signing, or smart hiring, I should say, especially in October, a week before the season starts. Has spent the majority of his time in the NBA with the Jazz. Got started there in 81 as an assistant, an administrative assistant, and a scout. And by the time he left in 1999, he was the vice president, right? So he really rose up those ranks. Was the Knicks general manager for a few years, and then took a couple years off after 2003, went back to Utah as an assistant coach for quite a while, and then Spurs assistant GM after that for a few years, was a Timberwolves general manager not too long ago, was a scout with the Kings the past couple of years. They let him go this past offseason. They had some coaching changes and staff turnover, and now he finds his way in Philadelphia. Guy who's been around the NBA for a long time, always could use more eyes in that scouting department, evaluating talent. I think it's a really smart hire for this team. Credit to Daryl Morey in the front office for finding this signing. All right, that'll do it for today's show, guys. Again, we're just a week away from the start of the season. I cannot believe it. It is almost here. I'm hoping the vibes start to pick up a little bit after what was a down year last season. Be sure to hit that sub button and lock us in for year-round coverage on your Philadelphia 76ers.